Hello, my name is Strangeretta. I'm going to explain you the Enlightenment. The Enlightenment was an intellectual and cultural movement in the 17th and 18th centuries that emphasized reason, science, and individual freedom over tradition and religious authority. Enlightenment thinkers such as John Locke, Voltaire, and Rousseau believed that human beings could improve society through knowledge, education, and rational thinking. Their ideas promoted liberty, equality, and the importance of questioning absolute power, which greatly influenced modern democratic governments and social reforms around the world.
Do better. Inspired revolution like American Revolution in 1776 and French Revolution in 1789, where people said, nah, we want freedom. Now the kings tell us what to do. So now that we know this and we are a little bit contextualized about what is this, let's talk a little bit about persons. So, first of all, we're going to talk about John Locke. He was an important person from 1632 to 1704. He was an English publisher, famous of saying the mind is blank slate. And he also made important changes during the Enlightenment because he was leading and telling people the true things. Like as I told you at the beginning, that people started thinking more in science, reasonings, than in church. He was born with no ideas, and everything we know comes from experiments. So basically, he was one of the people that started experimenting and making new things, and finally he ended up doing the things right. Now let's talk about Voltaire from 1694 to 1778. She was a French writer and publisher, famous for fighting for freedom of speech. So, as I told you before, the people started making things I don't know, believing more in them than in the king. Started thinking about if they didn't vote for the leader, it would be it would be different. So people would have a more people who have more freedom and more capacity to make things in politics and all of that. She loved sarcasm and used it as a very important way, or yeah, she used it a lot. And she also was talking about freedom of religion. As we know, this was a very important topic about all of this. And he also taught about the separation of church and state. Now let's talk about Immanuel Kant. He was a German publisher, famous for saying, "Have the courage to use your own reason." This was a very important word because, as you know, basically all of this topic is about the freedom of religion, to think, to critically think, even though you're not a king or any important person. He also was very famous because he wrote different books that people started reading and started knowing what were how to help the others, and let's say to know how to stop believing in that, change to believe on science. He believed that morality comes from reasons, not just for following others. This was also what he thought in those times. Now let's talk about Mary Wollstonecraft. She was important during 1759 and 1797. He was an English writer and feminist. She wrote a Vindication of Rights of Women in 1792. Argued that women aren't naturally inferior, they just don't have the same education or rights than men. Basically told society, hey, maybe stop treating women like pretty furniture. She was important because she started like revoluting that woman was important during that time, and she started like telling women like that they're important also. So yeah, thanks for watching our video and see you next time.